Hi everyone, this is Dean Rader. Welcome to another installment of Poems That Changed Me. I am very excited about today's poem for a number of reasons, but the most important is that it kicks off what I'm calling Bay Area Poetry Month. The entire month of October, I'm going to be devoting all of the poems that I talk about on this series to Bay Area poets and specific poems by Bay Area poets that have been particularly transformative for me. To celebrate, I'm wearing my Big Sur t-shirt, which is not necessarily in the Bay Area, but maybe I will rotate various Bay Area t-shirts throughout the month to indicate my desire to represent. Today's poem is by my friend Brenda Hillman, who is one of my favorite living poets, one of the great living American poets. And the poem is called Sediments of Santa Monica, and it's a poem that many of you may not know unless you live in the Bay Area or maybe, Santa Monica. But I picked this poem, one, because I feel like it is indicative of her work, but also because I remember reading this poem at a very important time. So Brenda, correct me if I get this wrong, but my memory is that this poem was published in 2001, which was the year that I moved to San Francisco. And I believe that it came out in October or November of 2001, not long after 9/11. And I remember buying this book, which is called Cascadia, in Black Oak Books on Irving and 8th Avenue here in San Francisco. The bookstore no longer exists, but I remember picking this book up and really loving this particular poem. Now, Cascadia refers to the term, it's the ancient landmass that now makes up California. And this particular poem gets at this sense of sort of being on the edge in terms of the continent, sure, but also the new millennium. And here's the poem. Sediments of Santa Monica. A left margin watches the seafloor approach. It takes 30 million years. It is the first lover. More saints for Augustine's mother. A girl in red shorts shakes Kafka's The Trial free of some sand. A left margin watches the watcher from Dover. After the 20th century, these cliffs looked like ribbons on braids or dreads. A dream had come right over with a sort of severe leakage. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. Went down to this Ferris wheel, God's Rolodex. There were neon spikes around everyone, like the Virgin spikes. Old punks, mohawks, evidence of inner fire. Road throwing words off, red current, light swearing. Ah, love, the century had become a little drippy at the end. We're still growing, but the stitches hurt. Let us be true to one another for the world. Easy on the myths now. Make it up. Sleep well. I love this poem so much. In some ways, it's an elegy to California and an elegy to the 20th century. But in the most glorious ways, it's this celebration of something new, which for me, California has always come to represent. The sense of rebirth, the sense of beginning. And there is a sense at which maybe the 21st century will be the century of California's Californianess, the sense in which this state is sort of the bellwether for the rest of the country. One of the things that I really love about this poem is that it seems to talk to so many other literary texts. Kafka, Matthew Arnold, and Dover. I hear traces of Canto 21 in Whitman's song myself, where this sort of ambisexual connection with the ocean I love the reference to the boardwalk in Santa Monica, the Ferris wheel if you've ever been there. There is this sense that the left coast, the left margin of our country is sort of where everything returns back to. If you think about the lower 48 as a page and the sort of typewriter of time returning back to the left coast, this place where we live. And the Left Justified poem reinforces this. This poem really is indicative of Brenda's poetics in that she sort of plays with fragmentation and these cool little caesuras in the lines, the sort of references perhaps to a lover, the undercurrents of landscape and sex and the body and history. I love the whole thing. I love this poem, and reading it when I did, I don't know, I just felt like it was this great greeting card welcoming me to this state. Thanks, Brenda, for writing this poem. It really changed a lot for me.